It's looking like the second week of weekend missions have gone off without a hitch this time at the rollover this evening on June 23rd. Players have 3 days to complete these extra missions to get some currency rewards. All players can win 20 games over the course of the next 3 days to get 200 credits. If you are a season pass player who has Ghost Spider, you can win 15 games with Ghost Spider starting in your deck to get 150 gold. And if you purchase the most recent new card release, Spider Ham, a Directed Series 4 card that costs you 3,000 collector's tokens, you're going to get a 10% discount back on that card, 300 tokens, winning 4 games of Spider Ham starting in your deck. Today's video, we're going to give you a quick rundown of my favorite Spider Ham decks, as well as my favorite Ghost Spider decks to get these missions done. Let's jump to it. If you're looking for what's the best deck to play Spider-Ham, in my opinion, look no further than the stock bounce deck that's been being played for a good long while now. Spider-Ham slotted in over Iceman in this card as an upgrade to what your deck is doing in terms of disruption. Spider-Ham having 1 less power isn't a big deal because we're utilizing Bast to set it to 3 power anyways in a lot of situations, and it doesn't matter how many stats Spider-Ham has when it's bouncing in and out of play to trigger things like Angela and Bishop. It is worth noting that this deck can be fairly difficult to play, so if you're not super familiar with it, expect to be up to a challenge learning the ins and outs of the sequencing with it, but it is incredibly powerful and it's very satisfying to get right once you figure it out. If you're looking for a slightly more straightforward deck list to leverage Spider-Ham in, this build of a disruptive deck is one of my favorite things in Marvel Snap right now. In addition to Spider-Ham, we also have Korg and Black Widow as cheap disruptive cards that we can return back to our hand with Beast to redeploy that also make Darkhawk be an excellent stat stick for just 4 energy. This deck list also leveraging Sentry, which is a phenomenal card to be playing on a weekend where other people are incentivized to be playing Spider-Ham, because if someone porks your Sentry, it simply becomes a 4 energy 10 power card with the downside removed. I think this deck has a lot of play to it in basically every matchup, and you just get to play good tech cards like Shang-Chi to chop down opposing things like massive hulks to size, giving you some easy and clean victories. It's also worth noting that while Spider-Ham has synergy with things like Beast and Falcon that lets you get its effect more than one time over the course of the game, Spider-Ham's just a generically good, cheap disruptive card like Iceman or Scorpion that you can slot into basically any Marvel Snap deck that you're looking to fill in your 12th slot in. This particular Lockjaw variation is essentially the stock High Evolutionary Lockjaw deck that's been performing at an incredible rate by the metrics per untap.gg, and Spider-Ham can slot really nicely into here as an additional cheap card that you can play into Lockjaw while also getting some value out of it, grabbing some information about what's in their hand and making their hand a good bit worse in the process. As we close out with a look at a couple of Ghost Spider decks for season pass holders looking to make a little bit of extra gold on the weekend, I figured I'd start off by recommending a deck list that can get you done with both of your missions at the same time. Overall, I think this movement-based variation of Bounce is a touch weaker than the stock version I recommended at the start of the video, but it also has some edges where that deck can't get into, such as being able to Iron Fist a Human Torch or something else into a left side location that you would otherwise be locked out of. This deck also has some atypical play patterns that can catch your opponents off guard a little bit. Playing off meta always has some decent rewards inside of Marvel Snap, and I think this deck is still a fine choice for winning games with if you're looking to get Spider-Ham and Ghost Spider games done simultaneously. If you're looking to leverage your Ghost Spider in a full movement deck, these 12 cards are definitely my favorite way to do that. While you can tweak and tune some of the details, an important thing to call out that you should not change in this deck list is the inclusion of Wave. This archetype, in my experience, really struggles with the raw power output that the bounce deck can put into play on turn 6 if left unchecked. So Wave gives us a way to disrupt that, which is going to be incredibly important with more people playing bounce, since Spider Pig is a card that people are being encouraged to play this weekend. Wave also fits pretty cleanly on curve into this deck. You play Wave on turn 5, leaving you 2 resources, either put down a Ghost Spider to get a movement trigger on the thing you played on turn 4, or to play Cloak to really set you up for a big turn 6. Wave on turn 5 is also really good into a variety of other decks because it locks them into a single play, which you can then dictate where it goes with your copy of Arrow, or make it so it's harder for your opponent to counteract your Heimdall, setting up a big slide when they can only put a single card on the board. Finally, for the more competitively inclined people watching this video who are thinking, Jeff, what deck list would you recommend I play Ghost Spider in if I just want to win the most games as quickly as possible? I'd recommend you check out these 12 cards. In particular, this deck list has really impressed me with its flexibility and power. Vulture just gets absolutely massive in this deck with Iron Fist, Ghost Spider, Strange, and Cloak pulling it around the board. I'm actually going to have a deck highlight up with this deck list tomorrow morning sometime, and you're going to see Vulture break the double digits in power lots of times in that video. You'll note that this deck list is choosing not to play Serra, and the reason for this is quite straightforward. Frequently on turn 5, we're looking to play out a 3 energy card as well as one of our 2 energy cards to fill in the curve. I also think it's noteworthy that with the addition of Spider-Ham to the format, Serra in general is kind of worth less now than she was before because she's frequently just going to be a 5/4 pig in your hand. Miles Morales does a nice job of filling in the curve in this deck on turns 4 and 5 as well, while also being a card that can catch pork for the rest of the deck, making sure our 3 energy cards don't get touched inside of our hand. This deck, at the end of the day, can also just do good Surfer things at the top end of the curve, playing Brood as well as Surfer on the final turn of the game to add a big flourish of power in a way that your opponent likely isn't expecting from the rest of your deck that can look like a movement deck up until that point. To throw in one last bonus deck in today's video, if you're looking to counter some of the things that people are going to be doing this weekend, this archetype is one that got a buff from the recent Over There update, restoring Red Skull back to his original 14 power, and this deck absolutely loves getting Spider-Hammed at any point during the game where you have Red Skull or Infinite in your hand. So if you're looking to play a pretty generically good deck list that has a lot of play into a lot of things in Marvel Snap while also being well positioned into the pigs that are going to be running around everywhere, I think this deck would be an excellent choice. What are your thoughts on this new weekend mission system now that it's rolled out successfully for the first time? Do you think this is going to encourage you to play more Marvel Snap on the last few days of the week? I know for me personally, while I won't have a ton of time to log in and play on Saturday and Sunday itself, it is noteworthy that these missions last until the reset on Monday night when the week rolls over. So I'll be able to play them on my live stream on Monday, which is great for me personally. I think it's also nice that they're adding extra value to the season pass. If you play every single weekend over the course of a season, you get an extra 600 or 750 gold with your 10 USD purchase, which is already one of the best ways you could spend money in Marvel Snap that now has a little bit of extra on top. It's also nice that the cards are getting a little bit cheaper yet again. This Direct to Series 4 Spider-Ham is now getting a 10% discount if you buy it in the first week. At any rate, if you enjoyed my musings and deck list recommendations on this topic, be sure to snap that like button to help this video reach some more people. And be sure to check back in again in the morning when I'll be having a fun Surfer move deck highlight showcasing the power of that deck list that I talked about in this video.